There's a theater that never closes. Its stage is everywhere. In the coffee shop, where a woman touches her hair while listening to a man she does not truly desire. In the boardroom, where a handshake seals a deal built on hidden resentment. In the bedroom, where two bodies meet, but four masks remain firmly in place. This theater has no intermission, no curtain call where actors remove their makeup and reveal their true faces. Because in this theater, the mask is the face, and the performance is called love. But what if I told you that love, as you have been taught to understand it, is not what you think it is? What if beneath every declaration of affection, every tender gesture, every whispered promise in the dark, there exists a transaction so subtle, so deeply woven into the fabric of human nature, that most people live and die without ever recognizing it? What if people do not love at all, but instead trade emotion for power, survival for security, vulnerability for control? Before we continue, a warning. The knowledge that is about to be shared cannot be unlearned. It will permanently change the way you see human relationships. If you are ready to abandon comfortable illusions and see what is behind the stage, subscribe now, because this is not just a video. It is the beginning of your journey under the mask. Now let us begin. Picture a young woman named Elena. She is 26 years old, works in marketing, lives in a city apartment with exposed brick walls and plants she forgets to water. She has been dating Marcus for 8 months. When her friends ask about him, she smiles and says he is kind, that he listens, that he makes her feel safe. But here's what Elena does not say. She does not mention that when Marcus texts her, she sometimes waits exactly 17 minutes before responding, not because she is busy, but because she has learned that immediate responses make her seem too available, too eager, too powerless. She does not mention that she has memorized the exact tone of voice that makes him apologize fastest when they argue. She does not mention that she withholds physical affection strategically, like a gambler holding cards close to the chest, releasing intimacy only when she needs something in return. Is this love? Or is this something else entirely? Something older, more primal, more honest in its dishonesty? Marcus, for his part, believes he loves Elena. He tells himself this every morning when he wakes up beside her. But watch him closely. Notice how he mentions his promotion 3 times during dinner with her parents. How his voice carries just a bit louder when he talks about his salary, his car, his plans for the future. Notice how he positions himself as the provider, the protector, the one who has his life together. He is not simply sharing information. He is establishing value. He is saying, without saying it directly, I am worth keeping. I am worth the investment of your daughter's youth, her beauty, her reproductive years. He is trading his resources for her genetics, his stability for her fertility, his commitment for her exclusivity. This is not cynicism. This is observation. This is what happens when you remove the romantic filter and look at human behavior through the lens of evolutionary psychology, game theory, and the uncomfortable truths that our ancestors understood instinctively, but that modern society has dressed up in the language of romance. The transaction is everywhere once you learn to see it. It hums beneath every relationship, like electricity through wires. It is in the way a mother loves her child, yes, but also expects loyalty, obedience, grandchildren, a return on 18 years of investment. It is in the way friends keep score of favors given and received, maintaining a ledger they would never admit exists. It is in the way we choose our partners not for who they are, but for what they can provide, whether that provision is emotional, financial, social, or genetic. Consider the language we use. We say someone is a catch, as if relationships were hunting expeditions. We say someone is out of our league, as if love were a competitive sport with rankings and tiers. We say we are investing in a relationship, as if affection were capital that must generate returns. The metaphors betray the reality. We are not poets. We are traders. And the currency is not money. It is power. Power comes in many forms. There is the obvious power of wealth, status, physical strength. But there are subtler forms too. The power of beauty, which opens doors and softens hearts and makes strangers generous. The power of emotional intelligence, which allows one person to read another like a book and turn pages at will. The power of indifference, which makes the indifferent person infinitely more desirable than the one who cares too much. The power of scarcity, which is why the person who needs the relationship least controls it most. Elena understands this instinctively, even if she has never articulated it. She knows that the moment Marcus believes he has completely won her, the moment she becomes entirely predictable, entirely available, entirely his, something will shift. The pursuit will end. The value will decrease. So she maintains mystery. She keeps parts of herself locked away. She creates artificial scarcity in a relationship of abundance. Not because she is cruel, but because she is human. Because she understands, in the wordless way that all animals understand survival, that power flows toward those who withhold, not toward those who give freely. Now let us travel back in time. Not far, just to Elena's childhood. She is 7 years old, sitting at the kitchen table, and her father is angry. She does not remember why. Perhaps she spilled something, broke something, said something that embarrassed him in front of guests. The details do not matter. What matters is what happens next. Her mother, sensing the rising tension, the tightening of her father's jaw, the dangerous silence that precedes an explosion, does something Elena will remember for the rest of her life. Her mother smiles. Not a genuine smile, but a performance of a smile. And she touches her father's arm gently. And she changes the subject to something that pleases him. And she laughs at something he says that is not funny. And slowly, gradually, the danger passes. Elena watches this. She does not understand it consciously, not yet, but she files it away in the deep storage of her developing brain. She learns that emotion can be performed, that vulnerability can be weaponized, that the person who controls their own reactions controls the room. She learns that love, or what adults call love, is not about truth. It is about management. It is about knowing which mask to wear and when to wear it. Her father, in that moment, believes his wife loves him. He feels the warmth of her touch, hears the music of her laughter, and his anger dissolves. He does not recognize that he has been managed. He does not see the puppet strings. And why would he? The performance is flawless. This is what decades of practice looks like. This is what survival looks like when you are a woman married to a man with a temper and no easy path to financial independence. Is Elena's mother manipulative? Yes. Is she also loving? Perhaps. Perhaps both things can be true simultaneously. Perhaps manipulation and love are not opposites, but rather two ingredients in the same recipe, mixed together so thoroughly that separating them becomes impossible. This is the uncomfortable truth that sits at the heart of human relationships. We want to believe in pure love, in selfless devotion, in connections that transcend the brutal mathematics of evolutionary biology. We want to believe that somewhere, somehow, two people can meet and love each other without agenda, without calculation, without the silent negotiation of power that underlies every human interaction. But wanting something to be true does not make it true. Marcus has his own origin story. He is 12 years old, and he is in love for the first time. Her name is Sarah, and she has red hair and freckles and a laugh that makes his chest feel strange. He writes her a note, pours his heart onto lined paper in blue ink, tells her everything he feels. He gives it to her between classes, watches her read it, sees her face change. She shows it to her friends. They giggle. By the end of the day, everyone knows. He is humiliated. He learns, in the way that only public humiliation can teach, that vulnerability is weakness, that showing your cards means losing the game, that the person who cares less wins. He never makes that mistake again. By the time he meets Elena 14 years later, he has perfected the art of measured affection. He knows how to be interested but not desperate, attentive but not smothering, committed but not trapped. He has learned to love, if we can call it that, with one hand while keeping the other hand free. Just in case. Just in case she leaves. Just in case someone better comes along. Just in case the transaction stops being favorable. This is not unique to Marcus and Elena. This is the human condition. We are all walking around with childhood wounds that have calcified into adult strategies. We are all performing love while protecting ourselves from it. We are all trading emotion for power because we learned, early and painfully, that pure emotion without power is simply another word for victimhood. Think about the last time you fell in love. Really think about it. Strip away the poetry, the romance, the story you tell yourself and others. What was actually happening? You met someone who triggered certain neurochemical responses in your brain. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. The same chemicals that drug addicts chase. The same reward pathways that light up when gamblers win. Your body, in its ancient wisdom, recognized something valuable. Good genes, high status, emotional stability, the ability to provide resources or security or social connection. Your conscious mind dressed this up as fate, as chemistry, as love at first sight. But your unconscious mind was doing math. Cold, brutal, evolutionary math. And here is the truly unsettling part. The other person was doing the same math. They were evaluating you, consciously or unconsciously, against a checklist written by millions of years of natural selection. Are you healthy? Are you fertile? Are you capable of providing or protecting? Do you have good genes to pass on? Will you be a reliable partner or a flight risk? The conversation you were having, the one about movies and music and childhood memories, was just the surface. Underneath, a deeper negotiation was taking place. A negotiation about value, about worth, about whether this transaction made sense for both parties. Let us examine a different kind of relationship, professional rather than romantic, but governed by the same fundamental dynamics. There is a man named David who works in finance. He has a boss named Richard. Richard is 53 years old, successful, respected. The kind of man who wears expensive watches and speaks with the confidence of someone who has never seriously doubted himself. David is 31, ambitious, hungry, willing to work 80-hour weeks if it means climbing the ladder. Watch how they interact. Richard calls David into his office, asks his opinion on a deal, listens carefully to his response. David feels valued, respected, seen. He does not realize that Richard asks everyone's opinion, that this is a management technique Richard learned from a book, that the appearance of valuing input is different from actually valuing it. Richard will make the decision he was always going to make, but by asking David's opinion first, he creates the illusion of collaboration, of shared power. David will work harder now, will feel more invested in the outcome, will defend Richard's decision as if it were his own. This is manipulation, yes, but it is also leadership. It is also how organizations function, how hierarchies maintain themselves, how power perpetuates power. Richard is not evil. He is simply fluent in the language of human psychology. He understands that people do not want to be controlled. They want to feel autonomous while being guided. They want to believe they have power while accepting their place in the hierarchy. David, for his part, is not naive. He knows the game. He knows that his loyalty to Richard is transactional, that he is trading his time, his energy, his youth for money and status, and the promise of future advancement. He knows that if a better offer came along, he would leave without guilt. He knows that Richard would replace him without hesitation if the numbers stopped adding up. They both know these things, but they never say them. They maintain the fiction of loyalty, of mentorship, of something more meaningful than a simple exchange of labor for compensation. This is the mask that professional relationships wear, the mask of meritocracy, of teamwork, of shared vision. Underneath, it is still about power. Who has it? Who wants it? How it is gained and maintained and lost. The same dynamics play out in friendships. Consider two women, best friends since college. They talk every day, share secrets, support each other through breakups and job losses and family drama. They would describe their friendship as unconditional, as one of the few pure relationships in their lives. But watch what happens when one of them gets engaged to a wealthy man, moves to a bigger apartment, starts posting pictures of a life that looks suspiciously like the life they both used to dream about. The other woman feels something she does not want to name. Not quite jealousy, or maybe exactly jealousy, but mixed with something else. Resentment, a sense of unfairness. They started from the same place, worked equally hard. So why does one get the prize while the other is still struggling? The friendship does not end, not immediately, but something shifts. Conversations become slightly more competitive. Accomplishments are measured against each other. The woman who is engaged starts to feel guilty about her happiness, starts to downplay her good fortune, starts to complain about problems that are not really problems just to maintain equilibrium. What is happening here? A transaction has become unbalanced. Friendships, like all relationships, require a rough equality of status, of fortune, of life circumstances. When that equality is disrupted, the friendship must either recalibrate or dissolve. Because friendship, despite what we tell ourselves, is not unconditional. It is conditional on both parties receiving roughly equal value from the exchange. That value might be emotional support, social connection, entertainment, validation, or simply the comfort of not being alone. But it is still an exchange, still a transaction, still about power, even if the power is subtle, even if it is never explicitly discussed. This is not to say that genuine affection does not exist. It does. But affection and transaction are not mutually exclusive. They coexist. They are woven together so tightly that trying to separate them is like trying to separate salt from the ocean. You can love someone and still be engaged in a power dynamic with them. You can care deeply about someone's well-being and still be calculating, consciously or unconsciously, what you are getting from the relationship and whether it is worth what you are giving. Let us return to Elena and Marcus. It is now 1 year into their relationship. They are at a crossroads, though neither has named it yet. Elena is thinking about the future. She is 27 now, and her body is beginning to whisper reminders about biological clocks and fertility windows. Her friends are getting married, having babies, posting pictures of gender reveal parties and nurseries painted in soft pastels. She feels the pressure, not just from society but from something deeper, something cellular. Marcus is thinking about the future too, but differently. He is thinking about his career, about the promotion he is chasing, about whether he is ready to commit to one person for the rest of his life. He loves Elena, or believes he does, but he also feels the weight of that commitment, the closing of doors, the end of possibility. He is not ready to say yes, but he is also not ready to say no. So he exists in the comfortable ambiguity of not deciding. Elena senses this. Women are often better at reading emotional subtext than men, not because of some mystical feminine intuition, but because they have had to be. Throughout history, women's survival has depended on their ability to read the intentions of more powerful people, usually men. So Elena notices the slight hesitation when she mentions a friend's wedding. She notices how Marcus changes the subject when his mother asks about grandchildren. She notices, and she begins to strategize. She does not issue an ultimatum. That would be too direct, too aggressive, too likely to backfire. Instead, she becomes slightly less available. She makes plans with friends on nights when she would normally see Marcus. She mentions, casually, that a man at work asked her to lunch. She does not accept the lunch invitation, but she mentions it. She plants the seed of competition, of scarcity, of the possibility that she might not wait forever. This is not cruelty. This is strategy. This is a woman using the limited power available to her in a negotiation where the other party holds most of the cards. Because here is the uncomfortable truth about heterosexual relationships in the modern world. Despite all our progress, despite feminism and equality and women in the workforce, the fundamental dynamic remains largely unchanged. Women's value in the sexual marketplace peaks earlier and declines faster than men's. A woman at 35 has fewer options than she did at 25. A man at 35 often has more. This is not fair. This is not right. But it is, statistically speaking, true. So Elena is playing a game where time is not on her side, where every year that passes without a ring on her finger is a year of declining leverage. She knows this. Marcus knows this. They both know that she knows that he knows, but they never say it. They maintain the fiction that their relationship is about love, about connection, about two souls finding each other in the chaos of modern life. They do not acknowledge the negotiation happening underneath, the silent calculation of value and cost and return on investment. Marcus feels the pressure of Elena's subtle withdrawal. He does not like it. He finds himself thinking about her more, missing her more, feeling anxious when she does not text back immediately. He is experiencing what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, the same principle that makes gambling addictive. When rewards are unpredictable, When affection is sometimes given and sometimes withheld, the brain becomes obsessed with obtaining it. Elena has, perhaps without fully realizing it, made herself more valuable by making herself less available. 3 months later, Marcus proposes. He tells himself he is doing it because he loves her, because he cannot imagine his life without her, because she is the one. All of these things are true. But also true is that he is doing it because the alternative, losing her, has become unacceptable, because she has successfully shifted the power dynamic, because she has made him need her more than she needs him, or at least made him believe that is the case. Elena says yes. She cries. The tears are real. The happiness is real. But so is the relief. Relief that the negotiation is over, that she has secured commitment before her value in the marketplace declined further, that she can stop performing scarcity and return to the comfort of security. She loves Marcus. She also has successfully traded her youth and beauty and fertility for his commitment and resources and genetic material. Both things are true. Both things can be true simultaneously. Now let us zoom out. Let us look at the bigger picture, the evolutionary forces that have shaped these dynamics over millions of years. Human beings are not blank slates. We are not infinitely malleable creatures who can be programmed by culture to behave in any way society deems appropriate. We are animals. Sophisticated animals, yes. Animals with language and art and philosophy and the ability to send robots to Mars. But still animals. Still governed by the same fundamental drives that govern all living things. Survive. Reproduce. Pass on genes. Everything else, all the complexity of human behavior, is built on top of these fundamental drives. Love is not separate from biology. It is biology. It is the mechanism that evolution created to ensure that we form pair bonds long enough to raise children who are helpless for an absurdly long time compared to other species. It is the neurochemical cocktail that makes us willing to sacrifice our own interests for another person's well-being, at least temporarily, at least long enough to ensure the survival of shared offspring. This is why love feels so overwhelming, so irrational, so beyond our control. Because it is beyond our control. It is a program running in the background of our consciousness, written by natural selection, optimized over countless generations to maximize reproductive success. When you fall in love, you are not making a choice. You are being chosen by your genes, which have recognized a suitable partner for replication. But here's where it gets interesting. Human beings are unique among animals in our capacity for self-awareness, for metacognition, for thinking about our own thinking. We can recognize the program running in the background. We can see the puppet strings. And once we see them, we can choose, to some degree, how to respond. We can override our instincts, or at least negotiate with them. We can love someone and simultaneously understand that our love is a biological mechanism. We can feel genuine emotion while also recognizing that emotion serves an evolutionary purpose. This is the space where manipulation becomes possible. Because if you understand the mechanisms of human behavior, if you understand what triggers attraction, what maintains attachment, what creates desire, you can use that understanding strategically. You can push buttons. You can pull levers. You can create feelings in other people that serve your interests. Is this evil? That depends on your definition of evil. Is it evil for a peacock to display its feathers to attract a mate? Is it evil for a flower to produce nectar to manipulate bees into spreading its pollen? Nature is full of manipulation, of deception, of organisms using other organisms for their own reproductive advantage. Human beings are part of nature. Our manipulations are simply more sophisticated, more conscious, more wrapped in the language of morality and choice. Consider the entire industry of dating advice, of pickup artists and relationship coaches and books about how to make someone fall in love with you. What are these if not instruction manuals for manipulation? They teach you how to create attraction through scarcity, how to maintain interest through unpredictability, how to trigger attachment through intermittent reinforcement. They teach you the same techniques that casinos use to keep gamblers gambling, that social media platforms use to keep users scrolling, that cults use to keep members committed. And they work. They work because human psychology is not random. It follows patterns. It has vulnerabilities. It can be hacked. Not perfectly, not every time, but often enough that the techniques persist, that the books sell, that the industry thrives. Elena did not read these books, but she absorbed their lessons anyway, through observation, through trial and error, through the accumulated wisdom of generations of women who understood that in a world where men held most of the formal power, women needed to master the informal power of emotional intelligence and strategic vulnerability. Marcus did not read these books either, but he learned their lessons through his own painful experiences, through rejection and humiliation, and the slow realization that showing too much interest too soon was the fastest way to lose someone's interest entirely. They are both manipulating each other. They are both being manipulated. They are both sincere in their feelings and strategic in their behavior. This is not a contradiction. This is the human condition. Let us examine another relationship, one that exists in the shadows of Elena and Marcus's story. Marcus has a co-worker named Jennifer. She is 32, divorced, sharp-minded, and ambitious. They work together on projects, stay late at the office sometimes, grab drinks after work occasionally. Nothing has happened between them, nothing physical, but there is something there, a possibility, an alternate timeline that exists in potential but not in reality. Jennifer knows Marcus is in a relationship. She respects that, or tells herself she does, but she also notices things. She notices when he seems frustrated after talking to Elena on the phone. She notices when he stays at the office later than necessary, as if avoiding going home. She notices, and she files these observations away, not with any specific plan, but with the general awareness that opportunities sometimes present themselves to those who are paying attention. Marcus is aware of Jennifer's attention. He would deny it if asked, would insist that they are just colleagues, just friends. But he feels it, the slight charge in the air when they are alone together, the way she laughs at his jokes a beat longer than necessary, the way she touches his arm when making a point. He does not act on it. He is not a cheater, or does not think of himself as one. But he also does not shut it down completely. He maintains the possibility. He keeps that door slightly ajar. Why? Because it feels good to be desired. Because it gives him leverage, even if he never uses it, even if Elena never knows about it. Because knowing he has options makes him feel less trapped by his commitment. Because the possibility of Jennifer makes his choice of Elena feel more like a choice and less like a surrender. This is emotional infidelity, though it never crosses into physical territory. This is the maintenance of backup options, of exit strategies, of insurance policies against the failure of the primary relationship. And it is incredibly common. Studies suggest that a significant percentage of people in committed relationships maintain what researchers call backburner relationships, connections with potential romantic partners that are kept warm but not hot, available but not active. Is this betrayal? Elena would certainly think so if she knew. But Marcus would argue that he has not actually done anything wrong. He has not kissed Jennifer. He has not slept with her. He has not even explicitly flirted with her. He has simply failed to shut down her interest completely. He has simply maintained a friendship that happens to have an undercurrent of attraction. Where is the crime in that? This is how people rationalize behavior that serves their interests while violating the spirit, if not the letter, of their commitments. This is how we maintain plausible deniability, how we keep one foot out the door while insisting we're fully in the room. This is how we hedge our bets in the high-stakes game of modern relationships. Elena, for her part, is not naive. She senses something about Jennifer, though she has never met her, has only heard her name mentioned in passing. Women often know, on some level, when there is a threat, when another woman is circling their territory. She does not confront Marcus about it. That would require evidence she does not have, would make her seem jealous and insecure, would potentially push him toward the very thing she fears. Instead, she increases her own value. She joins a gym, updates her wardrobe, posts carefully curated photos on social media that show her looking happy and attractive and desirable. She reminds Marcus subtly that she too has options, that she too could walk away if the relationship stopped serving her needs. This is the dance. This is the constant negotiation of power and value and commitment that happens in every relationship, whether the participants are conscious of it or not. This is why relationships are exhausting, why they require constant maintenance, why the initial passion always fades into something more complex and ambiguous and difficult to name. Because relationships are not static. They are dynamic systems, constantly shifting, constantly requiring adjustment and recalibration. The balance of power is never fixed. It flows back and forth like a tide, responding to changes in circumstances, in attractiveness, in options, in need. The person who has more power today might have less tomorrow. The person who is pursuing today might be pursued tomorrow. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is guaranteed. Let us talk about children, because if romantic relationships are transactions, then having children is the ultimate investment, the ultimate gamble, the ultimate expression of both love and self-interest intertwined so completely that separating them becomes impossible. Elena and Marcus have been married for 2 years when they decide to have a baby. Decide is perhaps the wrong word. Elena decides. Marcus agrees, with the kind of passive agreement that comes from knowing that disagreement would cost more than compliance. He is 35 now, established in his career, financially stable, running out of reasonable excuses to delay. Elena is 29, acutely aware that her fertility is beginning its slow decline, that every year she waits is a year of increased risk, decreased probability, higher chance of complications. She does not say these things to Marcus. She talks instead about how much she wants to be a mother, how she can imagine their child, how complete their family would feel. She frames it in the language of emotion, of love, of shared dreams. She does not mention the biological imperative, the evolutionary pressure, the cold calculation that if she waits much longer, she might miss her window entirely. Marcus hears the emotional appeal and responds to it, but he is also doing his own calculation. A child will bind him to Elena permanently, will make leaving exponentially more difficult, will transform their relationship from a partnership that could theoretically be dissolved into a permanent entanglement of shared responsibility and legal obligation. A child will also cost money, time, freedom, sleep, the ability to make spontaneous decisions about his own life. These are significant costs, but there are benefits too. A child will give his life meaning, purpose, a sense of legacy that extends beyond his own mortality. A child will make him a father, will give him a new identity, a new role, a new source of pride and accomplishment. A child will, if he is honest with himself, also lock Elena into the relationship, will make her less likely to leave, will give him security in the form of her increased dependence on him. So he agrees. They try. Elena tracks her ovulation with the precision of a military campaign. They have sex on schedule, whether they feel like it or not, because the window is narrow and the stakes are high. The romance of conception, if it ever existed, is replaced by the mechanics of reproduction. This is not making love. This is making a baby. The distinction matters. It takes 6 months. 6 months of hope and disappointment, of pregnancy tests that come back negative, of Elena crying in the bathroom, while Marcus stands outside the door, not knowing what to say. And then, finally, 2 lines instead of 1. Positive. Pregnant. The transaction is complete. Elena feels joy, relief, terror, all mixed together in a cocktail of hormones and emotion that makes it impossible to think clearly. She is going to be a mother. Her body is no longer entirely her own. For the next 9 months, and really for the rest of her life, she will be responsible for another human being. This is what she wanted. This is also the most vulnerable position she has ever been in. Because here is what nobody tells you about pregnancy and motherhood. It is the ultimate surrender of power. A pregnant woman is dependent in ways that a non-pregnant woman is not. She needs support, protection, resources. She cannot simply walk away if the relationship sours. She is, for lack of a better word, trapped, not by the baby, but by biology, by the reality that human infants require years of intensive care and that providing that care alone is exponentially more difficult than providing it with a partner. Evolution has shaped women to be extremely selective about their mates precisely because the cost of a bad choice is so high. A man can impregnate a woman and walk away, can spread his genes with minimal investment. A woman cannot. She is stuck with the consequences of her choice for at least 9 months, and realistically for much longer. This asymmetry is the foundation of all sexual politics, all gender dynamics, all the complicated negotiations that happen between men and women. Marcus feels the weight of impending fatherhood differently. He feels pride, yes, and fear, and a strange sense of accomplishment, as if he has passed some test of manhood. But he also feels the trap closing. He is locked in now. He cannot leave without being a villain, without abandoning his child, without violating every social norm about masculine responsibility. His freedom, such as it was, is gone. And yet, he does not resent it, or tells himself he does not. He loves Elena. He wants this child. He is choosing this life. But choice and constraint are not opposites. They coexist. He is choosing to accept a constraint. He is voluntarily entering a cage. The cage is comfortable, even desirable, but it is still a cage. This is the paradox of commitment. We want it and fear it simultaneously. We want the security of knowing someone will be there, but we also want the freedom to leave if we change our minds. We want unconditional love, but we also want to maintain conditions, to keep our options open, to hedge our bets. We want to be chosen, but we do not want to be trapped. These desires are contradictory, and yet we hold them all at once, and we expect our relationships to somehow satisfy all of them simultaneously. They cannot. Something must give. Usually, it is the illusion of freedom. We trade freedom for security, possibility for certainty, the excitement of the unknown for the comfort of the familiar. We tell ourselves this is maturity, this is growth, this is what it means to be an adult. And perhaps it is. But it is also a loss, a real loss. The death of the person we might have been if we had made different choices. Elena and Marcus do not talk about these things. They talk about baby names and nursery colors, and whether to find out the sex or wait until birth. They talk about the surface, the acceptable topics, the things that do not threaten the fragile equilibrium they have constructed. They do not talk about power, about fear, about the ways they are using each other even as they love each other. They do not talk about the transaction. The baby is born, a girl. They name her Sophie. She is perfect, or seems perfect in the way that all newborns seem perfect to their parents, before the reality of sleepless nights and endless crying and the complete obliteration of any life that existed before sets in. Elena is transformed, not just physically, though her body is different now, marked by pregnancy and birth in ways that will never fully reverse. But psychologically, she is a mother now. This is her primary identity, superseding everything else. She is no longer Elena, who works in marketing and likes yoga and reads novels on the weekend. She is Sophie's mother. Everything else is secondary. This is both beautiful and terrifying. Beautiful because the love she feels for Sophie is unlike anything she has ever experienced. Pure and fierce and completely overwhelming. Terrifying because she has lost herself, or the self she used to be, and she does not know if she will ever get it back. Marcus is transformed too, but differently. He is a father, yes, but he is also still Marcus. He still goes to work every day, still has conversations with adults about adult things, still has an identity separate from his role as a parent. This is not because he loves Sophie less than Elena does. It is because society allows men to be fathers without requiring them to sacrifice everything else they are. Women are not given the same permission. Elena resents this, though she would not admit it, perhaps not even to herself. She resents that Marcus gets to leave the house every day, gets to have lunch with colleagues, gets to use his brain for something other than tracking feeding schedules and diaper changes. She resents that his body is still his own, that he did not have to endure pregnancy and birth, that he can sleep through Sophie's crying in a way that she physically cannot. But she cannot say these things. Saying them would make her seem ungrateful, would violate the social script that says mothers should be endlessly patient and selfless and fulfilled by motherhood. So she swallows the resentment, adds it to the growing pile of things she does not say, and performs the role of happy mother while quietly losing her mind. Marcus senses her unhappiness, but does not know what to do about it. He helps, or tries to help, but his help is never quite right, never quite enough. Elena has standards, specific ways things must be done, and when Marcus does not meet those standards, she corrects him, which makes him feel incompetent, which makes him less likely to help next time. which increases Elena's burden, which increases her resentment. It is a vicious cycle, one that plays out in millions of households, one that nobody seems to know how to break. The power dynamic is shifted. Before Sophie, Elena and Marcus were roughly equal partners. Now Elena is dependent in new ways. She needs Marcus's income more than ever, needs his support, needs him to be present and engaged. But she also has new power. She is the primary caregiver, the one Sophie needs most, the one who cannot be replaced. Marcus is auxiliary. Helpful, yes, but not essential in the way that Elena is essential. This creates a strange tension. Elena is simultaneously more powerful and more vulnerable than she has ever been. She has the power that comes from being irreplaceable to Sophie, but she has the vulnerability that comes from being dependent on Marcus for financial support and practical help. Marcus has the power that comes from being able to leave, from having options, from maintaining an identity outside the home. But he has the vulnerability that comes from being replaceable, from knowing that if Elena decided he was not meeting her needs, she could make his life very difficult, could limit his access to his daughter, could turn Sophie against him. They are locked in a new kind of negotiation, one where the stakes are higher than ever before, where the cost of failure is not just personal unhappiness, but the well-being of a child who did not ask to be born into this complicated dynamic. And they are tired, so tired, tired in a way that makes everything harder, makes every disagreement feel like a crisis, makes patience impossible and resentment inevitable. They snap at each other over small things, forget to be kind, stop having sex because they are too exhausted and touched out and resentful. The romance that brought them together feels like a distant memory, something that happened to different people in a different lifetime. Is this love? They tell themselves it is. They tell themselves that this is what real love looks like. Not the easy passion of the beginning, but the hard work of staying together when everything is difficult. They tell themselves that they are building something, that the sacrifice is worth it, that someday they will look back on this time and be glad they persevered. Maybe they are right. Maybe this is love. Or maybe love is just the story we tell ourselves to make sense of the biological and economic forces that bind us together. Maybe love is the mask we wear to hide the transaction underneath. Maybe both things are true. Let us step back from Elena and Marcus and Sophie and look at the broader patterns, the universal dynamics that govern all human relationships regardless of the specific details. Power flows toward those who need the relationship least. This is the fundamental law of human interaction. The person who can walk away has leverage over the person who cannot. This is true in romantic relationships, in friendships, in professional relationships, in every context where humans interact. The person who is willing to lose the relationship has power over the person who is desperate to keep it. This is why neediness is so unattractive. Not because there is anything inherently wrong with needing other people. We are social animals. We are built to need connection. But because neediness signals low value, signals that you have few options, signals that you are willing to accept poor treatment because you believe you cannot do better. And humans, like all animals, are attracted to high value and repelled by low value. This is harsh. This is uncomfortable. But it is true. Watch how people respond to desperation versus indifference. Watch how attraction increases when someone pulls away and decreases when someone pursues too aggressively. Watch how the person who cares less controls the relationship, sets the pace, determines the terms. This does not mean that caring is weakness. It means that showing too much care too soon is weakness. It means that vulnerability must be strategic, must be revealed gradually, must be earned rather than given freely. Because humans do not value what comes easily. We value what we have to work for, what we have to earn, what we might lose. This is why the beginning of relationships is so intoxicating. Because both people are still uncertain, still working to win the other person, still on their best behavior. The power is roughly balanced. The outcome is uncertain. The possibility of loss makes every moment feel precious. But once the relationship is secure, once both people are committed, the dynamic changes. The uncertainty disappears. The effort decreases. The passion fades into something more comfortable, but less exciting. This is the paradox of commitment. We want security, but security kills desire. We want to know that the other person will be there, but knowing they will be there makes them less interesting. We want unconditional love, but unconditional love means there is no challenge, no conquest, no achievement. We want contradictory things, and then we are disappointed when we cannot have them all simultaneously. Some people try to solve this by maintaining artificial uncertainty, by playing games, by creating drama. They pick fights to create distance, so they can experience the pleasure of reconciliation. They flirt with other people to trigger jealousy and rekindle desire. They withhold affection strategically to maintain their partner's interest. These tactics work in the short term, but they are exhausting and ultimately unsustainable. You cannot build a stable relationship on a foundation of manufactured instability. Others try to solve it by accepting the trade-off, by acknowledging that passion fades and that what replaces it, companionship, partnership, shared history, is valuable in its own right. This is the mature approach, the one that relationship therapists recommend, the one that leads to long-term stability. But it requires giving up the fantasy of eternal passion, of love that never fades, of desire that never dims. It requires accepting that relationships are work, that they require constant maintenance, that they will never again feel the way they felt in the beginning. Most people do neither. They drift in the middle, vaguely dissatisfied but not dissatisfied enough to leave, maintaining relationships that are good enough but not great, settling for comfort over passion, for security over excitement. They tell themselves they are happy. They tell themselves this is what adult love looks like. And maybe they are right, or maybe they are just afraid of being alone. Because here is the secret that nobody wants to admit. Being alone is terrifying, not because there is anything inherently wrong with solitude, but because humans are social animals, because we are wired to need connection, because isolation triggers the same pain centers in the brain as physical injury. We will tolerate a lot, will accept mediocre relationships, will stay in situations that do not serve us, simply to avoid the pain of being alone. This gives other people power over us, the power to hurt us, to manipulate us, to extract concessions from us by threatening abandonment. And we give them this power willingly, because the alternative, being alone, feels worse than being in a flawed relationship. This is why abusive relationships persist. Not because the victims are stupid or weak, but because the abuser has correctly identified that the victim's fear of being alone is greater than their fear of being hurt. The abuser does not need to be physically stronger or more intelligent. They just need to be willing to leave, or to threaten to leave, while the victim is not. That asymmetry is enough. Elena and Marcus are not in an abusive relationship, but they are in a relationship where power is constantly being negotiated, where both people are using whatever leverage they have to get their needs met, where love and manipulation are so intertwined that separating them is impossible. This is not unique to them. This is every relationship. This is the human condition. Let us talk about masks. Because this entire discussion has been about masks, about the gap between what we show and what we feel, between the performance and the reality, between the story we tell and the truth we hide. Everyone wears masks. We wear different masks for different contexts, different audiences, different purposes. We have a work mask, a family mask, a friend mask, a lover mask. We have a mask we wear in public and a different mask we wear in private. We have masks we are aware of and masks we have worn so long that we have forgotten they are masks at all. The mask is not necessarily false. It is a curated version of the self, a selection of traits and behaviors that serve a particular purpose. When Elena smiles at Marcus even though she is angry, she is not being fake. She is making a strategic choice about which part of herself to show in that moment. The anger is real. The smile is also real, or real enough. Both exist simultaneously. This is what people misunderstand about authenticity. They think it means showing everything, feeling everything, saying everything that crosses your mind. But that is not authenticity. That is chaos. That is the behavior of children and people with personality disorders. Authenticity is knowing who you are, including the parts you choose not to show. It is being honest with yourself, even when you are strategic with others. Marcus wears a mask of confidence at work, even when he feels uncertain. This is not dishonesty. This is professionalism. This is understanding that showing weakness in a competitive environment is dangerous, that vulnerability must be reserved for safe contexts, that the workplace is a theater where everyone is performing competence, whether they feel it or not. Elena wears a mask of happiness on social media, posting carefully selected photos that show her life as more beautiful, more fulfilling, more enviable than it actually is. This is not vanity. This is social currency. This is understanding that in the attention economy, perception is reality, that the story you tell about your life matters more than the life itself. We judge people for wearing masks, for being fake, for not being authentic. But we also judge people who are too authentic, who share too much, who fail to maintain appropriate boundaries. We want people to be real, but not too real. We want honesty, but not brutal honesty. We want vulnerability, but not neediness. We want people to be themselves, but only the best version of themselves, the version that is pleasant and attractive and easy to be around. So everyone learns to wear masks. We learn it early, in childhood, when we discover that showing certain emotions leads to punishment or rejection. We learn that anger is unacceptable, that sadness is weakness, that fear is shameful. We learn to hide these things, to show only the emotions that are socially acceptable, that make other people comfortable, that maintain our position in the social hierarchy. By the time we are adults, the mask is so well fitted that we barely notice we are wearing it. We have internalized the rules, automated the performance, forgotten that there is a difference between who we are and who we pretend to be. We have become our masks. And then we wonder why we feel disconnected, why relationships feel shallow, why nobody really knows us. We have spent our entire lives hiding, and then we are surprised that we are hidden. We have spent our entire lives performing, and then we are confused that nobody sees the real us. But how could they? We have never shown them. We have never even shown ourselves. This is the tragedy of the human condition. We are desperate for connection, for being truly seen and known and accepted. But we are also terrified of it, because being truly seen means being vulnerable, and being vulnerable means giving someone the power to hurt us. So we maintain the masks, we keep the distance, we perform intimacy while protecting ourselves from it. Elena and Marcus have been together for years, have created a child together, have merged their lives in countless ways. And yet, there are parts of themselves they have never shown each other, thoughts they have never shared, fears they have never admitted, desires they have never expressed. They are intimate strangers, close enough to touch but too far apart to truly connect. This is not unique to them. This is most relationships. We settle for partial knowledge, for curated versions of each other, for the comfort of companionship without the risk of true vulnerability. We tell ourselves this is enough. We tell ourselves that nobody can truly know another person, that some distance is healthy, that maintaining mystery keeps relationships interesting. Maybe this is true, or maybe it is just another mask, another story we tell ourselves to avoid the terrifying work of actually being known. Now let us examine the shadow side, the parts of human nature that we prefer not to acknowledge. Carl Jung wrote about the shadow, the aspects of ourselves that we repress, deny, project onto others. The shadow contains everything we have decided is unacceptable about ourselves, everything that contradicts the image we want to maintain. For Elena, the shadow contains her ambition, her selfishness, her capacity for cruelty. She has constructed an identity as a caring person, a good mother, a supportive partner. But underneath, there's a part of her that resents Sophie for destroying her freedom, that resents Marcus for not being more successful, that calculates constantly what she is getting from relationships versus what she is giving. She does not acknowledge this part of herself. She pushes it down, denies it, tells herself she is not that kind of person. But the shadow does not disappear just because we refuse to look at it. It leaks out in small ways, in passive-aggressive comments, in sudden bursts of anger that seem disproportionate to the trigger, in dreams and fantasies that reveal desires we would never admit to in waking life. The shadow is always there, always active, always influencing our behavior even when we are not conscious of it. For Marcus, the shadow contains his cowardice, his resentment, his desire to escape. He has constructed an identity as a responsible man, a good father, a committed partner. But underneath, there's a part of him that wants to run, that fantasizes about a different life, that feels trapped and angry and desperate for freedom. He does not acknowledge this part of himself. He tells himself he is happy, that he chose this life, that he wants to be here. But the shadow knows the truth, and it expresses itself in the way he stays late at work unnecessarily, in the way he scrolls through his phone instead of engaging with his family, in the way he maintains that connection with Jennifer even though nothing has happened and probably never will. These are small rebellions, small assertions of autonomy, small ways of saying I am still my own person even though I have given up so much. The shadow is not evil. It is simply the parts of ourselves that we have decided are unacceptable. And the more we repress it, the more power it gains, the more it controls us from the unconscious. The path to wholeness, Jung argued, is not to eliminate the shadow but to integrate it, to acknowledge it, to accept that we contain multitudes, that we are capable of both love and hate, both generosity and selfishness, both nobility and pettiness. But integration is difficult. It requires looking at parts of ourselves that we have spent our entire lives avoiding. It requires admitting that we are not who we pretend to be, that the mask is not the face, that the performance is not the reality. Most people never do this work. They live their entire lives in partial self-awareness, controlled by forces they do not understand, acting out patterns they never chose. Elena and Marcus are not villains. They are not unusually manipulative or selfish or dishonest. They are simply human. They are doing what all humans do, navigating the impossible complexity of relationships with imperfect tools and incomplete information. They are trying to get their needs met while also meeting the needs of others. They are trying to maintain their autonomy while also creating connection. They are trying to be good people while also being real people. The tragedy is not that they are flawed. The tragedy is that they cannot admit their flaws, cannot share them with each other, cannot create a relationship based on full honesty because full honesty is too dangerous, too vulnerable, too likely to destroy the fragile equilibrium they have constructed. So they maintain the masks. They perform their roles. They trade emotion for power. They call it love, and maybe it is love, or maybe love is just the name we give to successful transactions, to negotiations that work out well enough for both parties, to the mutual agreement to pretend that we are not pretending. Let us talk about the end game, because all relationships end one way or another. Either they end in separation or they end in death. There is no third option. The question is not whether the relationship will end, but how and what will remain when it does. Elena and Marcus are now 45 and 48 years old. Sophie is 16, more interested in her friends and her phone than in her parents. The house that once felt too small now feels too large. Too quiet, too full of empty rooms and unspoken words. Elena and Marcus have been together for 20 years. They have built a life together. They have a history, shared memories, inside jokes that nobody else would understand. They are comfortable with each other in the way that old shoes are comfortable, worn in, familiar, unremarkable. But they are also strangers. The people they are now are not the people who fell in love 20 years ago. They have changed, grown, evolved in different directions. Elena has become harder, more cynical, more aware of the ways she has compromised herself for the sake of family stability. Marcus has become softer, more resigned, more aware that the dreams he had in his 20s will never materialize. They do not fight much anymore. Fighting requires energy, requires caring enough to engage. They have moved past fighting into something colder, something more distant. They are polite to each other. They coordinate schedules, divide household tasks, maintain the machinery of family life. But the passion is gone. The connection is gone. They are roommates who share a history and a child and a mortgage. Is this failure? Society would say no. They have stayed together, raised a child, maintained stability. They have done what they were supposed to do. But privately, in the quiet moments when they are alone with their thoughts, they both wonder if this is all there is. If this is what they sacrificed their youth for. If the transaction was worth it. Elena sometimes thinks about the life she might have had if she had made different choices. If she had focused on her career instead of having a child. If she had left Marcus when she first felt the distance growing between them. If she had been braver, more selfish, more willing to prioritize her own happiness over stability. She does not regret Sophie. She loves Sophie, but she regrets the version of herself that she had to kill in order to become Sophie's mother. Marcus sometimes thinks about Jennifer, who left the company years ago, who he has not spoken to in over a decade. He wonders what would have happened if he had acted on that attraction, if he had been willing to blow up his life for the possibility of something more exciting. He tells himself he made the right choice, that stability and responsibility matter more than passion. But he also knows that he will die without ever knowing what might have been. They are both trapped, not by each other, but by the choices they made, by the life they built, by the sunk costs that make leaving feel impossible. They have invested too much to walk away. 20 years of marriage, a child, a house, shared finances, shared friends, shared identity. Leaving would mean admitting that all of that was a mistake, that they wasted the best years of their lives on something that did not work. It is easier to stay. It is easier to tell themselves that this is good enough, that this is what mature love looks like. That passion is for young people, and they are no longer young. But sometimes, late at night, when they are lying in bed next to each other, but not touching, both pretending to be asleep, they feel the weight of all the things they have never said, all the truths they have never shared, all the masks they have never removed. And they wonder if the other person feels it too. And they wonder if it is too late to do anything about it. And they decide, without discussing it, that it is too late, that some doors once closed cannot be reopened, that some distances once created cannot be bridged. So they continue. They wake up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, watch television, go to bed. They maintain the routine, the structure, the appearance of a functional marriage. They perform their roles for Sophie, for their friends, for themselves. They trade emotion for power, or they did once, but now they are not even trading anymore. They are simply coexisting, two people who share a space, but not a life, who know each other's habits, but not each other's hearts. This is not the ending that anyone dreams of, but it is the ending that many people get. Not dramatic, not tragic, just quiet, just sad, just the slow fading of something that was once bright into something gray and forgettable. But let us not end there. Let us consider an alternative. Let us imagine what might happen if Elena and Marcus did something radical, something terrifying, something that most people never do. Let us imagine what might happen if they removed their masks. It starts small. One night, after Sophie has gone to bed, after they have completed the usual routine of cleaning up dinner and checking emails and preparing for the next day, Elena does something unexpected. Instead of retreating to her side of the bed with her book, instead of maintaining the comfortable distance they have perfected over years of practice, she sits down next to Marcus and says, "I am not happy." 3 words, simple words, but they land like a bomb in the quiet room. Marcus looks at her, and for the first time in years, really looks at her, sees past the mask of the competent wife and mother to the person underneath, the person who is drowning in quiet desperation. He could deflect. He could get defensive. He could say all the things that people say when confronted with uncomfortable truths. We have a good life. You are being ungrateful. What about Sophie? What about everything we have built? He could maintain the mask, protect himself, shut down the conversation before it goes anywhere dangerous. But he does not. Instead, he says, "I am not happy either." And just like that, the performance stops. The masks crack. Not completely. Not yet. But enough to let some truth leak through. They talk, really talk, for the first time in years. They admit things they have never admitted. Elena tells him about the resentment she has carried, about the parts of herself she has sacrificed, about the loneliness of being in a marriage where she feels unseen. Marcus tells her about his own resentment, his own sacrifices, his own loneliness. They do not solve anything that night, but they see each other, really see each other, for the first time in a long time. This is not a fairy tale ending. This is not the moment where they fall in love again and live happily ever after. Real life does not work that way. But it is a beginning of something more honest, more real, more difficult, but also more alive than what they had before. They start therapy. They start having difficult conversations. They start acknowledging the power dynamics, the transactions, the ways they have been using each other while calling it love. They start to untangle the knot of resentment and obligation and habit that has bound them together. They start to ask themselves and each other what they actually want, not what they are supposed to want, not what would make them look good to others, but what would actually make them happy. The answer is not simple. It is not clear. They do not know if they want to stay together or separate, if they want to try to rebuild something new or acknowledge that what they had has run its course. But they are asking the question. They are being honest. They are removing the masks, slowly, carefully, terrified of what they will find underneath, but more terrified of spending the rest of their lives in the comfortable numbness they have been living in. This is the path that few people take, because it is hard, because it requires courage, because it means admitting that you have been lying to yourself and to others for years, because it means giving up the security of the known for the uncertainty of the unknown, because it means accepting that you might lose everything you have built. But it is also the only path to something real, to a relationship based on truth rather than performance, to love that is not a transaction but a choice, made freely, made consciously, made with full awareness of who the other person actually is rather than who you need them to be. Most people never take this path. They stay in their comfortable prisons, maintain their masks, perform their roles until death separates them or until the pain of staying becomes greater than the fear of leaving. They trade emotion for power until they have neither emotion nor power, just the empty shell of a relationship that died years ago but nobody bothered to bury. Elena and Marcus do not know yet which path they will take. They are standing at the crossroads, looking at their options, trying to find the courage to choose. The outcome is uncertain, but at least they are choosing. At least they are awake. At least they are no longer sleepwalking through their lives, pretending that the mask is the face, that the performance is the reality, that the transaction is love. Let us zoom out one final time. Let us look at the bigger picture, the patterns that repeat across all human relationships, across all cultures, across all of history. What have we learned? What can we take away from this examination of human behavior, power, and manipulation? First, that love and transaction are not opposites. They coexist. Every relationship involves an exchange of value, whether that value is emotional, physical, financial, or social. This does not make love less real. It makes it more complex, more interesting, more honest than the fairy tale version we are taught as children. Second, that power is always present in relationships. It flows back and forth, shifts with circumstances, responds to changes in value and options and need. The person who pretends power does not exist is simply allowing themselves to be controlled by someone who understands it better. Third, that everyone wears masks. The question is not whether to wear a mask, but which mask to wear, when to wear it, and whether you are aware that you are wearing it. Self-awareness does not eliminate the mask, but it gives you choice about how to use it. Fourth, that vulnerability is both necessary and dangerous. Necessary because without it, no real connection is possible. Dangerous because it gives other people power to hurt you. The art of relationships is learning when to be vulnerable and with whom. Learning to take calculated risks rather than either closing yourself off completely or opening yourself up indiscriminately. Fifth, that most people never do the work of integration, of acknowledging their shadow, of accepting the full complexity of who they are. They live in partial self-awareness, controlled by unconscious forces, acting out patterns they never chose. The path to wholeness requires looking at the parts of yourself you have spent your life avoiding. Sixth, that relationships require constant maintenance, constant negotiation, constant recalibration. They are not static. They are dynamic systems that respond to changes in circumstances, in power, in need. The relationship that worked 10 years ago might not work today. The person you married is not the person you are married to now. Adaptation is necessary for survival. Seventh, that honesty is rare and difficult and often punished. We say we want honesty, but we punish people who are too honest, who share too much, who fail to maintain appropriate masks. We want the appearance of honesty, the performance of authenticity, not the messy reality of it. Eighth, that most relationships end not with a bang but with a whimper, not with dramatic betrayals or explosive fights, but with slow erosion, gradual distance, the quiet death of connection. The tragedy is not that relationships end, but that they often continue long after they have died, maintained by inertia and fear and the sunk cost fallacy. Ninth, that change is possible but rare. Most people do not change. They repeat the same patterns, make the same mistakes, stay in the same comfortable prisons. Change requires courage, requires pain, requires giving up the security of the known. Most people are not willing to pay that price. And 10th, that despite all of this, despite the transactions and the power dynamics and the masks and the manipulation, humans continue to seek connection, continue to fall in love, continue to hope that this time will be different, that this person will be the one who truly sees them, truly knows them, truly loves them. This hope is perhaps irrational, but it is also beautiful. It is what makes us human. Elena and Marcus, wherever they end up, whatever they decide, are part of this larger pattern. They are not unique. They are not special. They are simply two humans trying to navigate the impossible complexity of intimate relationships with imperfect tools and incomplete information. They are doing their best. Their best is not always good enough, but it is all any of us have. The theater never closes. The performance continues. The masks remain in place. But sometimes, in rare moments, in the space between breaths, in the silence that follows a difficult truth, the mask slips, and we see each other, really see each other. And in that moment, however brief, however fragile, something real happens. Something that is not a transaction, not a negotiation, not a trade of emotion for power. Something that might actually be love. Or maybe that is just another story we tell ourselves. Another mask. Another performance. Maybe there is no difference between the mask and the face. Maybe the performance is all there is. Maybe love is just the name we give to successful transactions, to negotiations that work out well enough for both parties, to the mutual agreement to pretend that we are not pretending. I do not know. Nobody knows. We are all just making it up as we go along, trying to find meaning in the chaos, trying to create connection in a world that seems designed to keep us apart. We wear our masks and play our roles and trade emotion for power and call it love. And maybe that is enough. Maybe that is all we can hope for. Maybe the recognition that we are all performing, all manipulating, all trading, is itself a kind of intimacy, a shared understanding, a mutual acknowledgement of the human condition. Or maybe I am wrong. Maybe there is something more. Maybe beneath all the transactions and power dynamics and masks, there is something pure, something real, something that transcends biology and psychology and evolutionary imperatives. Maybe love is not just a story we tell ourselves. Maybe it is real. Maybe it is possible to truly know another person, to truly be known, to create a connection that is not based on transaction, but on something deeper, something that has no name because it exists beyond language. I want to believe this. I think most people want to believe this. We want to believe that we are more than animals, more than the sum of our evolutionary programming, more than calculating machines trading emotion for power. We want to believe in magic, in fate, in soulmates, in love that conquers all. We want to believe that somewhere, somehow, two people can meet and love each other without agenda, without calculation, without the silent negotiation that underlies every human interaction. Maybe it is possible. Maybe it happens. Maybe there are people who have achieved this, who have removed all their masks, who have integrated their shadows, who have created relationships based on complete honesty and vulnerability and acceptance. Maybe they exist. I have never met them, but maybe they exist. Or maybe the point is not to achieve perfect love, perfect honesty, perfect connection. Maybe the point is simply to try, to keep trying, to keep reaching for something better, something more real, something more honest, even knowing that we will never fully achieve it. Maybe the trying is the point. Maybe the struggle is the meaning. Elena and Marcus are still trying. They are still reaching. They do not know if they will make it. They do not know if their relationship can be saved, or if it even should be saved. But they are asking the questions. They are doing the work. They are removing the masks, slowly, carefully, terrified but determined. And maybe that is enough. Maybe that is all any of us can do. The theater continues. The performance goes on. But sometimes, in the quiet moments, in the spaces between words, in the vulnerability that follows honesty, something shifts. The mask slips. The face underneath is revealed. And we see each other. Really see each other. And in that moment, however brief, however fragile, we are not alone. And maybe that is what love is. Not the absence of transaction, but the willingness to engage in the transaction with full awareness, with full honesty, with full acceptance of what we are doing and why. Not the absence of power dynamics, but the conscious negotiation of power with respect and care and mutual benefit. Not the absence of masks, but the choice to remove them, at least sometimes, at least with certain people, at least in moments when the risk feels worth taking. Maybe love is not what we thought it was. Maybe it is not pure or simple or unconditional. Maybe it is messy and complicated and conditional and transactional and still, somehow worth it. Maybe the recognition of its complexity does not diminish it but enriches it. Maybe seeing love clearly, seeing it for what it actually is rather than what we wish it were, allows us to engage with it more honestly, more consciously, more effectively. Maybe people do not love in the way we have been taught to understand love. Maybe they trade emotion for power. Maybe they negotiate and calculate and manipulate. Maybe they wear masks and play roles and perform intimacy while protecting themselves from it. Maybe all of this is true. And maybe, despite all of this, or perhaps because of all of this, love is still real, still valuable, still worth pursuing. Not because it is perfect, but because it is human. Not because it transcends our nature, but because it is our nature. Not because it is simple, but because it is complex. Not because it is easy, but because it is hard. The curtain does not fall. The show does not end. We continue. We wake up tomorrow and put on our masks and play our roles and trade emotion for power and call it love. And maybe, just maybe, in the midst of all the performance and calculation and negotiation, something real happens. Something that cannot be explained or analyzed or reduced to evolutionary psychology. Something that is simply human. Simply us. Simply this. And so, the curtain falls on this act. But the show continues inside each of us, in the silence of our thoughts. The mask we have analyzed today. You may know it well. You may wear it. Or perhaps you see it in someone you love. The comment section below is not a place for judgment. It is our stage for confessions. A safe space for observers. Use that space to share your story. What mask did you have to wear to survive? We want to hear from you. And if you felt understood here, subscribe. Because here, you are not alone. Together, we will keep unraveling human theater, one mask at a time. The next act is about to begin.